Hey, and welcome back to the Soul Podcasting Podcast, the space where creative entrepreneurs, purpose-driven leaders, and CEO content creators come to podcast from a place of power, presence, and soul. And I'm your host, Demetria Zinga. I'm a digital marketing strategist, podcast coach, and the founder of the Soul Podcasting Collective, which is a boutique agency supporting founders like you with intentional podcast production, repurposing, and soulful content strategy. And let me just say this out loud. This podcast is not for people who are just playing with the idea of podcasting anymore, because we're stepping into a new chapter here, one that's not afraid to go deep, one that challenges you to stop playing small with your voice, your platform, and your legacy. This space is for folks who are in it. Creators, thought leaders, CEOs, educators, movement makers, people who understand that your voice builds brand equity, influence, and impact. And also, I've got to say that if you haven't already, check out the new podcast cover art, you guys, because visually we have leveled up to reflect exactly who the show is for. And I think it is bolder and a bit more elevated, but for sure it's more aligned. It's also simplified because there's less wording and it's to the point, which is exactly what I hope that this show brings to you. Now, the past 2 weeks' episodes have been quite real for me. I talk about what it looks like to show up authentically behind the mic and how so many of us, especially those of us who have been taught to shrink ourselves, end up dimming our light just to make our content safe or palatable. But not anymore, you guys. That episode was your invitation to stop code switching behind the mic and start owning your full brilliance unapologetically. And today's episode is the continuation of that energy. We're talking about how to keep your creativity lit without burning yourself out in the process. So let's go ahead and get into this. But before we dive deep, I do like to set the tone a bit. So you've always heard me say, grab a favorite drink. But today, let's do something just a bit different. I'm going to invite you, if you're not driving or out walking your dog or doing the laundry even, I'm going to invite you to grab your journal or even open your notes app and just sit somewhere quiet. And let's treat this time like a creative check-in. Just you and your purpose. So today's topic is how to stay in love with your podcast. We're not just creating content, we are building legacy. But legacy can't be built on fumes. So how do you keep that creative fire going? Let's talk about it. The truth is, my friends, that burnout rarely starts with the tech or the tasks. It starts when you lose touch with the heart behind the mic. That's losing touch with yourself. Your original why, the thing that sparked your show, that gets buried under all the metrics and the editing timelines and all the social media pressure. So let me ask you something. Why did you start your podcast? Or what is the reason you plan to start? Was it to share your story or make others feel less alone? Is it to teach your audience something that they can't Google or find on ChatGPT? Or is it to amplify voices in your industry that go unheard? So I want you to literally write that mission down, put it in your notes, make it your phone wallpaper, frame it above your microphone. And when you record from that place, your message will feel alive again. And your audience is going to hear it, they're going to feel it. And you don't need viral numbers to validate your podcast because your mission is actually the metric. My second tip for you is to shift from the hustle mode to rhythm. You want to go from hustle to rhythm because hustle culture really has no place in soulful podcasting. That hamster wheel of I have to drop in weekly or I'm going to lose momentum. That's a lie. You are allowed to create in rhythm, not rigidity. And listen, your rhythm might look like bi-weekly uploads with intentional planning or a seasonal show that takes some creative breaks between launches. You might want to publish an episode monthly and get deeper into high quality conversations. I've personally done all of these. I've had seasons where I batch content and seasons where I slow down to live more. So I had something meaningful to say when I am behind the microphone. Because remember, you are not a machine, you're a vessel. Give yourself a flow that honors your real life, your family, your mental health, your other work. Because when your creative rhythm is aligned with your actual capacity, it's no longer draining for you. It's energizing. And speaking of rhythms, I want to give you a plug for a tool that has totally changed the game for my business, and it is called HoneyBook. So from managing my client communication to automating my workflows, I have been using HoneyBook to seriously streamline how I run my business behind the scenes. This is working for me as a podcaster and as a creative CEO. It helps me reclaim my time so I can focus on what matters to me, which is creating my content and helping my clients with their podcast coaching. HoneyBook has helped me with so much, you guys. It's been the key behind how I am able to run my podcast, to onboard everyone that I interview for the shows, and how I'm able to collect money, do my accounting. I run my calendar there. All of my website forms are there. It's just so easy. And so I've added my referral link in the show notes where you can get 30% off because I want to share that resource with you. And the direct link is share.honeybook.com/herbusiness. That's share.honeybook.com/herbusiness. And trust me, you will thank me later. All right, so let's get right back into our content today. And my next tip for you is to let go of perfection and lean into presence. Lean into presence. So here's what I mean by that. And here's the part that might hit home for some of you. You're not falling out of love with podcasting, probably. What you might be falling out of love with is the pressure to be perfect. So editing for long hours, re-recording the same sentence 10 times, obsessing over every pause. That sucks the joy out of something that was supposed to be freeing. So I'm giving you permission to slip. Let your voice be enough. Let the pauses breathe. Let the imperfections humanize you. Your audience doesn't need polished perfection. They just need your presence. I say this quite often in my shows because I just want to encourage you to do the work that you feel you're called to do. Your audience wants your thoughtfulness. They want your point of view. They don't need you to be perfect. In fact, the most powerful podcasts that I've heard were not flawless. They were real. So if you're overwhelmed, you just need to simplify. You can try solo episodes that are 10 to 15 minutes. You can use bullet points instead of full scripts. You can record in your natural voice without second guessing, and just create in the way that you'd want to consume the content yourself. Think about what kind of business you're running or ministry or organization, and think about what your audience wants to hear from you. How can they lean into what you're doing? And then create in a way you'd want to consume that content yourself. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you want to hear if you were on the other end? And when you lean into that presence, the pressure will start to dissolve. And what returns in its place is usually joyfulness. You're going to find yourself having a lot more fun with your podcasting. And my final thoughts for you is just kind of a heart check. It's what I want you to take from today's episode. The fact that you're not a content machine. As content creators and producers, we love talking about content. It's what we do. It's how we inspire our audience to keep going. And so I will always talk about content with you, but I don't want you to feel like that is the ultimate goal, to keep spurning out more content week after week after week. There always needs to be a purpose behind every content that you produce. Remember that you are a creative vessel. You're called to speak, to serve, and to shift things in your industry, and to be that supportive network for those who are your ideal audience, for those who are hanging on to every word you're saying. You are that creative vessel. And yes, your podcast matters. But you know what? You matter more. And so stay connected to your mission and honor that natural rhythm. Use tools like what I've shared today, like HoneyBook, for example, and all the other many podcasting tools that are out there that will help you to support your vision. Give yourself the grace to create freely, because when you protect your joy, you stay in love with your voice, and your audience feels that in every single episode you release. And I will be sharing more about some of my insider tips and favorite tools that I like to use as time goes on, but I really want to work with you on podcasting with soul, because At the heart of what we do and all the tools that are available to us and the how-tos and the tech, there is the heart of it all. There is the purpose, the mission, the reason we're showing up on the mic week after week. And that's what I want to help you connect to. If this episode spoke to you and you're ready to offload that overwhelm so you can get back to just creating, here's how I and my team would love to support you. So at Soul Podcasting Collective, we offer podcast editing and production, launch strategy and coaching. We do SEO optimized show notes and blog content. We also do social media content repurposing. Additionally, we could customize your WordPress site for your podcast if needed, but we love the editing and the post-production aspect of podcasting because we know that if we take that off of your plate, that's so much less that you have to do. So whether you're building a personal brand or growing a team, we can help you amplify your voice without the burnout. So head over to soulpodcasting.com/services to get started, or hit the link in the show notes and let's partner up and take your podcast to the next level with Soul. Thanks for spending this time with me. And until next time, keep showing up, keep speaking your truth, and keep podcasting with purpose, presence, and soul. Happy podcasting.